Hello. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, good. Yes, here we are. It's been a year, and it's been a nice year, a year where a lot has happened, and we're going to take you through a few the latest developments in our company. Let's see. Yes, I hope you all liked what we did yesterday, and you had a drink on us, and we saw that we got a lot of reactions on that on Twitter already. So I think everyone enjoyed that. Should we do that again next year? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So thanks, Tanya and Lisa, for the comments on Twitter. Okay. Yes, we had a few releases recently, most notably Glyphs Mini 2. Now, I understand this is not exactly the audience for Glyphs Mini, because it's about entry-level font editing. So it's for starting type designers. So if you just want to try something, or if you're a web designer, want to see, and you want to make a symbol font or an icon font or something. What we did with Glyphs Mini is that we basically took a lot of the design concepts we had in Glyphs 2 into Glyphs Mini, right? So we basically brought the Mini app to the latest stage, to the latest code base that we had. So you see, it looks a lot like Glyphs 2, just minus the masters, right? Minus extensibility, minus scripts and plugins and stuff. So very straightforward, simple font editing. But we also are trying something new in Glyphs Mini that we are considering of taking back into the main app. Like for instance, we have been working on the glyph cell. This, for instance, is a glyph cell in Glyphs Mini 2. You see here we have a new way of indicating that the glyph is not exporting. I hope this is a little clearer, more if you have a big list. And a new way of, no, not so quick. A new way of indicating that the left side bearing or the right side bearing is out of sync. So the metric key that you set is not up to date. Or something else, we are introducing very slight subdued colors to indicate the state of a component. If it's auto-aligned, for instance. And actually, in this picture, I cranked up the colors because I was afraid the projector would project it in all gray. But it's even more subdued than you see here. It's a very, very slight green for indicating, this one is auto-aligned. Yes, and we're trying a few new things also in terms of visualization of, for instance, font metrics. And we see how that works out, and maybe we'll take some of that back into the main app at one point. Speaking of, and we introduced, if you look very closely up here, there's a new tool in Glyphs Mini. The Pixel tool, also available for Glyphs, but as a plugin, as a separate plugin. You can get it in the plugin manager, and you can revive the good old 80s memories. Yeah, for I see a lot of middle-aged male geeks in the audience, and all those 8-bit memories. Now you can bring them all back to life. Yeah, so that's Glyphs Mini, which was released a couple of weeks ago. Now, the main app, Glyphs, current version number 2.4.2. We recently, that's the icon, we've seen that. We recently passed the build number 1000 the other day, so we are in the quadruple digits now, yeah. And that happened the other day. You see the other week, version 1000 came out. This was like we sort of celebrated. We don't celebrate in years like birthdays. We celebrate in build numbers at Glyphs. But we've been asked. So how many versions have you done, and what's the statistics now? And that was a good question. And we waded through our GitHub repository, and the first version on GitHub that we had was build number 299 back in 2011. Ever since, we've had 7,600 commits. individual commits, which comes down to almost 30 commits per week, so changes in the code, and 2.5 build commits, so 2.5 versions per week, right? That we do on average, right? I think we're the industry leader with that statistic. And to give you an idea, what does it mean, that many commits and changes? It's mainly Georg who added 5.1 million lines of code, but that doesn't mean that much because he also removed 3.3 million lines of code. So, thanks. Georg, that was your applause. All right, so the current version number is 1006. At least that's what the current version number was this morning, and just half an hour ago. If you had your MacBook open, this happened, right? Okay, so this was one of the last pictures I added to the thing. So everyone's talking about variable fonts. We're talking about it too, but we don't have to talk about it in that length because someone already beat us to it. Thanks, Adam, for explaining variable fonts in Glyphs yesterday. Yeah, very easy. Okay, no. Of course, like any app that currently exports variable fonts, we have it's preliminary, so we have a big beta sign in the export thing. And we currently support gvar, fvar, cvar, pretty far so far, and we just added stat support. Yeah. Very basic. Yeah, very big. Okay, and yes, and we also recently introduced another feature which is accessible as a custom parameter. You can set the OTvar origin, which is the font that is actually saved as outlines in the exported variable font. All our variable fonts are exported as TrueType variable fonts, and the conversion is happening on the fly.
So there was a question in the talk just before lunch about how to convert from cubic masters, and this is done automatically. Includes so we also only support TrueType variation fonts, and so if you draw your compatible cubic outlines, and then all the conversion is done automatically. And just since yesterday morning, it also will export hinted TrueType fonts from the. So if you add the hints to your quadratic, one of your quadratic masters, you add some hints, and then you get a fully TrueType hinted variation fonts out of it.
Wow. Yeah. So since today. Okay. Okay. So this much about variable fonts. If I think the next thing, yes. TrueType, we changed a few things in the TrueType implementation. You can do a lot more in terms of manual TrueType hinting, or adding manual TrueType instructions. With version 2.4, we added deltas, as you can see. And we also added TrueType zones that you can control with a custom parameter. We talk about this in depth tomorrow at our workshop. If you have not signed up for the workshop, too bad, it's full. I'm sorry. But maybe we can squeeze one more in, but like, okay. Okay. Yeah, and I talked about the middle-aged male geeks in the audience. There's another thing, because of the object model that Glyphs has internally, it was very easy for us to introduce open scripting architecture support, so you can Apple script Glyphs. Yay. And you can do not everything that you can do with Python, but pretty much everything you would need. You can manipulate Glyphs with AppleScript. So if you're inclined to do that. When we introduced that with 2.4 the other day, I asked, if you're doing something cool with AppleScript, please let us know, but no one replied. I think this is like just for the geeks in us. Okay. Yes, but of course, that does not explain 7,600 commits. There's a lot happening along the way, a lot of small changes, improvements, bug fixes that we have, and we are very thankful for the great community we have, because we get a lot of feedback. Can't we do this? Can we do that? Everything you see here, for instance, just 3 examples. We have those mirror buttons in the transformations. We thought, yeah, for mirroring components and paths, and then people came up to us, hey, I want to mirror guides. Yeah, so we added that. So we wouldn't have thought about that. Or the other day, someone said, why can't we do the freehand scaling like in Illustrator, where you have like a pivot point and you can just horizontally scale it? Okay, yeah, all right, well, we never thought about that. Or this is for what do you call it? For a placed, cropping a placed scan in your glyph. If you hold down Control and Alt, you can do it on the way. You don't have to fiddle around with some numbers or type in numbers in the font info anymore. Yeah, so little things like that. There's hundreds of that are happening with every version number. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about code. Glyphs, by its very nature, is extensible. You can write scripts in Python. You can write Apple scripts now. And since it's open scripting architecture, you can basically take any language that supports it, even Perl if you like. But I don't know if I think that's like totally geeked out. Anyone ever used Perl in the audience? If at any conference, then this one. Oh, really? oh, okay, yeah, all right. Okay, okay. Those few who dared raise their hands. Okay, I heard the guy who invented Perl said the abbreviation is actually pathetically eclectic rubbish lister. So okay, but okay, you can script glyphs with Perl if you like. But of course, sometimes people ask us for a feature that is very, very specific, and it doesn't really make sense for us to add that to the app, and then we say, yeah, but you can script that. And sometimes we get this answer. I'm not much of a coder. No, I'm not. I can't code. And no, just I know that we have a mixed audience here. There are some people who have written Python code. Raise your hands. And some people who have not written Python code, raise your hands now, so we can all look at you and laugh. And okay, no, just kidding. What I'm trying to say is that Python is very easy to get started with, and we have a lot on our website to facilitate that. We have a Python primer. We have tutorials that take you through your first Python project, right? We have tutorials that explain building plugins. We have tutorials. Basically, we have a lot of documentation there. We have an application programming interface documentation with lots of samples. We are very thankful to Janone for this, because he helped us redo the Python wrapper. And of course, you don't only have to rely on us. There's lots of GitHub repositories that contain Python code specifically geared to for glyphs, like lots of scripts, a lot of plugins. Most of them are open source. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can peek into the code and see how the other guy did it. And then, yeah. Oh, not so quick. What else was there? Oh, yeah, and the plugin manager. Once you wrote a plugin, you can very easily hook it up to the plugin manager, make it very easily available with a one-click installation. Just to everything that I told you right now, you can get a good link list at glyphsapp.com/extend, and you find some sample repositories. You find the 3 or 4 commercial plugins that are available. And you'll find links to, even if you've never ever done Python, you can get started with your first Python code there. It's very, very easy, really trust it. Other people have done it, and yeah, even I have done it, and I'm not much of a coder, right? So, And yes, this is what the API documentation looks like. This has been, if you look at docu.glyphsapp.com, okay, again, you find the link on /extend. And we have a lot of samples in there. Here, for instance, if you're not comfortable, if you're doing something for the first time, right, and if you're just starting out as a Python coder, then of course you want to see a sample. How is it done, right? And then we have lots of samples with all the objects in there. It's very, very easy to get you started. You can copy paste code very easy. Okay. Yes, and we have the plugin manager as of the other day. And this, I think this is the most recent addition right at the top of us of the plugin manager. 73 plugins in the plugin manager, freely available. And with a one-click installation, you just click there. Step 1, click there. Step 2, restart Glyphs. Step 3, there's no step 3. That's it. There's no step 3. That's fantastic. Oh. So easy. The most recent, very prolific additions recently by Mark Frömberg. Some of you have seen it. Mark, I've just seen him before, but over there, yay. A round of applause to Mark Frömberg, yay, who did lots of plugins for it. Yeah. Okay, but, so this much about Glyphs Mini and about Glyphs. But Liron said, of course, world premiere, right? But we've heard about Glyphs Mini, yes, old news, and we heard about Glyphs, that's fake news. Sure. And so we really want to show something new as well. What could that be? So maybe new apps, yes, new apps. And we have, I think, how many? 4 new apps for you today. Oh, all right. You don't know yet what it is. So it's like okay. Let's start with the first one. Merge Glyphs. Merge Glyphs is an application for, as the name implies, for merging 2 Glyphs files. This is what the icon looks like. Yeah. And not so quick. So, yeah, it's for, as the icon also implies, you can sync and merge to Glyphs files. Yes. Okay, now this is what it looks like. When you start the app, this is what you get. This is the window. It says drag file here. This is the first instruction you have. So what you do, obviously, you drag a file here, and then you drag a file there, and then this is what happens. You see up here, you see all the things that are different between the 2 Glyphs files that you dragged into the window. And every little difference is listed. Here, for instance, everything that's, all the font-wide differences are listed. For instance, I don't know, for instance, family name, yeah? There's 2 different family names here. Or there's the manufacturer name is set in the left file, but not available in the other file, stuff like this. Or custom parameters. This one has custom parameters, this other one doesn't, yeah? And so on. Or in one of the instances, the extra light instance, for instance, the extra light instance here is named extra light or has the extra light weight class, and the other one only has the normal weight class. Obviously, a mistake, right? So what you would do if you see that, I have to correct the left one, I would click on use right. Yeah, I would select the difference, click on use right, whoop, and the difference is merged into the left file. That's why it's called merge glyphs. But it doesn't stop at difference at the font level. We also have stuff at the master level. For instance, all custom parameters or alignment zones, right? You pick a master up here. Yeah? You can pick the left master and the right master. And then you see the difference just as you would on the font level. Also, kerning. It shows the differences between the kerning between the two masters, and it tries to display them with a reference glyph between two reference glyphs. And you see here it's -40, and here it's -60, a little more. And you can decide which you like better, and then you merge the one into the other, right? Or on a glyph level even, it goes down so far that we display the two glyphs on top of each other, the left one in green, the right one in red, and you can see the difference as an overlay, right? And you can go drill down as far as the point level. You can see here we selected a on-curve point here, and the on-curve point is displayed here and displayed there. So you can go down as far as merging the coordinates of individual points, if you like. But okay, that's like rather academic. You usually would want to merge complete paths or the complete glyph usually. But if there's only one thing changed, you can merge glyphs will spot that and offer you the possibility to merge that. All right, that's merge glyphs. Oh yeah, and this is how you work on it. You pick an object on the left side. You look at the difference. On a glyph level, we try to display the difference. And then you can either use the left or the right one to merge into the respectively other glyphs file. That's merge glyphs. That's the first step. And oh, yes, it's available as a public beta for free today. Not right now because I haven't been able to sync, but someone else is holding my computer in their hands right now. But we will release the link after the presentation. You'll be able to download it today, right? A first public beta. Woo, okay. All right, the idea of merging glyphs, that's cool. So you have two glyphs files on your Mac, on your hard disk, on your internal disk. But I saw Dave Crossland earlier today. Oh, yeah. And he was saying, well, that's not the reality of our type design projects today. And our reality is we have a glyphs file remotely on GitHub, for instance, right? There's a designer who does something locally, and then he has to push or commit and push the changes with the Git client. So the reality is this currently, right? So this is what it looks like. You work with, for instance, the GitHub app or some other Git client, and then you can see here. Yes, I changed the stroke here, and the transform matrix is 1001 minus 2 0. Yeah. I changed it to 1001 minus 4 0. Right? Yeah, that's exciting. That's what I want. Yeah. So that's the reality today. So this is how we work today. Yeah. This poor guy at Google Fonts. Yeah, they have to work like this. Yeah. And me too, as you see. It's like this is from an actual project that I worked on. Yeah, not exactly. Oh yeah, maybe okay. The width changed by 3 units, but what does it look like? Or yeah, here there's part of a curve is deleted or replaced by another curve. Not exactly what you. So you can safely say the Git clients nowadays are not exactly geared towards glyphs files, right? Not exactly done for type designers. Is there a gap we could fill with another app? As it so happens, we did that. It's called commit glyphs. The principle is pretty simple. It basically does what merge glyphs does, but as a Git client. It's a Git client, and this is what it looks like, right? This is the interface. You see, it's similar to what we just saw in merge glyphs, but you get a few extra things like these checkboxes, and we have up here, we have something. Basically, the workflow is as follows. Oh, yeah? Okay, the workflow is as follows. Next slide, please. You open a repository, then it will show you what are the changes between the local and the remote glyphs files. Yeah? It will list all the diffs, and you can view them just like you did in merge glyphs. You can even select any change, and you can cherry pick the changes by checking them, or select them all and checking them, and then you write a commit message and you commit. That's it. That's commit glyphs.
One more thing, which actually was the first idea to do, why I started the whole project, was to not. So in this case, the outline is actually the same. It's just a bit of spacing change. And what happens? You get a lot of all nodes show up as changed because the coordinates change. But it will also give you the first two lines which say, okay, this left side, so it understands that the side bearing is different and shows you that. And if you just check the checkbox left side bearing and commit that, all the node changes will be committed actually. But you can say, okay, I want to actually commit the changes in side bearings. This is kind of our few things like that to help understanding the changes instead of just seeing all the nodes have a different number now, which you don't know. Is this a new glyph or a new shape or just a shifted shape? And so that should help with that.
All right. Yes, commit glyphs is in a pretty early development, so it is available as of today, also as a free public alpha. So be very careful with it. Don't use it yet with very serious projects. But you can download it later today and try and get wasted on those commits. All right. Oh, thanks. So that's 2 apps down, 2 more to go. All right, next app. It's called Font Table Viewer. There is a few ways to, not so quick. So, again, by the way, this is the icon for Font Table Viewer, beautiful artwork by Janoni. And there's a few ways to take a peek into your compiled OpenType fonts. There's a few apps out there. There is, you can also use TTX, for instance, on a command line if you're so inclined, which has a pretty nice ASCII output. And yeah, but we were not really happy with any of the currently available options. So we thought we have to do something that is truly Mac-like and that's truly easy to use and easy to quickly spot changes and differences. And this is what Font Table Viewer looks like. When you open it the first time, this is the empty thing, the empty window, you get a pretty good idea. You drag in font files on the left, right? And then you pick any of the tables or any of the things in there, and then you can look into this book typeface here, for instance, and then you can, for instance, here see the glyph order. But you see here we have a lot of space here. What happens if we select more of them, right? Then we see all of them in columns next to each other. And of course, I made a very, I sized down my window. I have a very small MacBook Air, but I know a lot of people in the audience have like those huge Retina screens or maybe the 5K iMacs, and you can compare as many fonts as you like in there, or as many as your monitor can fit or your display can fit. And it's very easy to for instance, select here the name table, and then you see in one row, you see all the values from all the selected fonts next to each other in one glance. Yeah? You don't have to switch between tabs. You don't have to output lots of ASCII table, print them out, and look at them next to each other. No, you have them right next to each other. And best thing is, you select here the name table entry, and down here we have a little web browser that accesses the official OpenType spec, and you see the name table spec. So you can see up here, okay, I'm in the name table. What is the name table supposed to hold, right? You can see immediately for yourself if what you have in your open type tables actually conforms to the spec or not. And what's even better, that if so that's the workflow in Font Table Viewer. Step 1, you pick the fonts, select the table, and view the table entries. Yeah? And step 2, you can see if it conforms to the spec right away. So live view, it's like a little web browser in there. And step 3, you can click on an OT table entry, and it tries to jump to that part of the page right now. So if you're, for instance, editing or taking a look at the typo descender, right? You see the typo descender entry right there. It jumps right there when you click on it. So that, and also Font Table Viewer is yes, one thing that I forgot. There's one option in there. You can, because you don't only want to view the tables, you want to see if you want to get a quick rendering maybe in a web browser. We have a font test HTML generator built into the Font Table Viewer. And when you do that, you can set a few settings here, and then you can take a look at all the encoded glyphs that are in there in all the sizes that you need, right? For a quick look to see if, for instance, the hinting works out nicely in Chrome or something. Yes, Font Table Viewer is also available today as a free public beta. You can download it right afterwards and play around with it. Yeah, and that's 3 down and 1 more to go. Thanks. And another one, text preview. Again, we have not been happy with the status quo. We have not been happy with the current situation of testing fonts on core text. Core text is the text renderer. Sorry. I've heard too much Trump speeches recently. It's like renderer. Okay, we've not been happy with the text renderer, we are happy with the text renderer, but we're not happy with the font installation situation on macOS. And we asked around, and we asked people at Apple, and the situation is not going to change that quickly. The problem is, as most of you know, if you want to test your font in TextEdit or Pages, see how it works, what you have to do is you either struggle with font cache problems. Who has had font cache problems in the past? We hear you. Or you change the name of your font every time. You call it my font A, my font B, my font C. But that clutters your font menu, right? And it becomes increasingly difficult to access your font that you want to test in the font menu, and you lose a lot of time, and it's yeah. So we were just not happy. There's no way to test fonts without installing them, and that's exactly what Text Preview does. This is what it looks like. This is Text Preview. Preview your fonts in core text without installing them, and it has. I take you quickly through the workflow. It has one preference, and it's the font path. And it works pretty much like the Adobe Fonts folder. Who knows what the Adobe Fonts folder is? Who does not know what the Adobe Fonts folder is? No one dares. Okay. Now, but for those who were not too scared to raise their hand now, the Adobe Fonts folder is a way to make your fonts available in Adobe applications without installing them on the system, which is a godsend for type designers, because you want to quickly test an InDesign and you make a change, push it into the Adobe Fonts folder, the new font becomes available immediately in InDesign. And this would be great to have for TextEdit or Pages, right? That would be really cool. And that's what it does. We set our font path like this, and text preview now watches this folder. This is the watched folder of text preview. Anything you drag in there, any font that's in there is always immediately hot synced, lively, available in text preview. And once you've done that, you can open the main page, the main window, sorry, and you can immediately select every font here that's in the, for instance, here we have ABC Alena by Roland Stieger, right? And you can select it here, you select the style, you select the size, and you start typing, right? As you would expect, this is like text edit. As you would expect text, you can mix different fonts, you can select text, and you can copy-paste text, anything you like in there. Plus, also, this gearbox up here is allows you to access OpenType features as they are available in core text. Yes, that's it. And how it works, basically, as I said, you pick a font family, a style, size, OT feature, step 1. Step 2, you type your sample text, and there's no step 3. Yeah. There's one more thing about text preview. If you move your mouse out of the window, this is what happens. And you get an unobstructed view at your fonts, and you can see what they look like. Oh, beautiful. And when you move your mouse back in, okay, so I think, text preview, again, also available today as a free public beta. You have to have macOS 10.9 or later to run it. That's the same for all the other apps as well. Oh, sorry, except for commit glyphs, that's 10.10, right? Okay, at least. I have to change that in the buttons. Yeah, and to recap, next one. To recap, these are the 4 apps we showed you today: merge glyphs, commit glyphs, for changes between for merging changes between 2 glyphs files, 2 local glyphs files with merge glyphs, and a local and a remote glyphs file in a Git repository, a true Git client actually, with commit glyphs. These 2 icons were done by Thomas Helwig, who is also here, I guess, I think. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, okay. But I don't see him. Okay. Then beautiful icon by Janone for the font table viewer. Take a look into your OpenType tables of your compiled OpenType fonts and compare them in columns. Very beautiful. And text preview for previewing your fonts in core text without installing them. No font cache problems, no restarting, no cache cleaning, no fuss. Just hotly available. I don't know if you can tell, but we did a little bit of kerning between the icons. It's the first time I did this. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So I told you these are all available today as free public betas and alphas. But where would you get that? Sorry. I was gonna. Those keynote effects. Okay. You would what you can type in your browsers after the presentation is glyphsapp.com/tools, which is a new category on our website where you can download all of these apps today. And yeah, this is what it looks like on the website. We have a new category up here, and not live yet. In 10 minutes. Yeah, sooner or later we'll have problems with the space up here, but yeah. So, so much for what we wanted to show you today. You're the first people on the planet who see that, outside of the Glyphs team, of course. And the only thing that's left for us to say is thanks to you.
Thank you, Jan.